From the digiMAX studios in Metamora, Illinois, it's time for the Danny Grieves Show. Here's Metamora Redbird head basketball coach Danny Grieves and host Scott Kerker.
Hello, Coach. You just come off a big, successful weekend at your Round Ball Classic this past weekend. No game was, well, maybe with the exception of the South County game, maybe nothing quite as exciting as the game you played last Monday against Griffin, but nonetheless, 3 really good games, and you played 3 games in 22 hours.
We had a lot of great basketball in our gym over the weekend. Had a lot of local flavor, too, with Manuel coming in and Mikey Robinson coming back, so it was a lot of fun.
Nice crowds,
yes.
Really nice crowds, which was nice.
How about our 10:30 a.m. crowd? That was good.
That was outstanding. That was way more people there than I thought would be there. That was a really, really nice crowd. Before we go too far, I want to thank the moms who put together that hospitality room, which was fantastic. Rivaled Ottawa. That's
pretty good. That's quite a statement.
Yes, I thought so.
But not just the moms. We had the dads. We had so much help for this tournament because there's a lot of things that go into this thing.
Oh yeah,
and we had people that raised money for it. It was amazing. As good as the basketball was, the help was just as good.
Yeah, I thought to Mrs. Nealon, who came back to help.
Yes.
Sons graduated, came back and helped. And then all those other moms, Mrs. Swanson, Mrs. Walker, and countless other ones. I know I'm forgetting some of them.
Amy, there's a bunch.
Zobrist, outstanding job.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure we mentioned them.
Glad you did.
And I really appreciated the everything they had in that hospitality.
The whole tournament was a class act, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Trophies. Abby Tucker, helped us with the trophies.
Yeah, that was outstanding.
Yes.
But the games I thought you guys played, you start off Friday night, a big game, 77-47 against Chicago Bogan. Another team, that plays that up-tempo style of basketball. And, you guys have played so many games against those type of teams. You're really starting to kind of get used to it, and you're almost, in some aspects, you guys have started to become an up-tempo team yourself.
Chicago Bogan started off well. Mm-hmm. They're a 14-5 team, but they're a team that's really young. They need some experience like they had. They're using the tournament down here for the weekend like we use the tournament in Mississippi. Mm-hmm. They need to get together on the same page a little bit together. They need to listen to the coach a little bit more. And he was using that as an educator for his team as he played in this tournament because he took his lumps.
Oh, yeah.
And but it was well worth it if they learn from that, and I think they are. He called me today, very thankful for coming in and the opportunity, and it was good to see him.
It was, when you looked at their resume coming in, they lost to Kenwood by 6.
Yes.
And they had a couple other close games against some quality opponents up in Chicago.
Did.
And, I think to be a well-rounded team and be a good team, you've got to be able to play a slow-down style. You've got to play up-tempo. And, man, if your kids been exposed to a number of different styles of basketball.
Right.
And like you said, that's going to help them down the road because I believe they're a 2A school.
I'm not sure. I do know this. They run a really good offense if you allow them. Mm-hmm. They run the pitch to the wing, middle ball screen over and over. And as we watched film, man, they were tearing kids up with it. And, out of the, must have been over the weekend, they ran it 100 times. But against us, it only worked twice.
Right.
And we did a pretty good job on but we do that. We take away what you do best, and we break down the films, and we run it. And, my hat's off to not just our starters, but, our bomb squad. They get us ready every week. And, here again, they ran their Bogan stuff better than Bogan did.
And that's become kind of a trademark with Metamora basketball the last few years especially. Friday night, you came out, like we talked about, a nice big crowd Friday night. Band was there, a huge crowd. We had a lot of people watching online.
Yeah, we did.
It was awfully exciting. It was a great atmosphere.
Right.
Great high school atmosphere. And when the fans were treated to one whale of a basketball game.
The prelim game was really good.
Yeah, that was Manuel and South County. Yeah,
sure was.
And I believe that was a 14-point win for
Manuel. Yeah, sure did.
And that was an outstanding
It
game.
looked like Mikey's team still had jet lag.
A little bit.
And they might have.
A little bit. You know, though, when you pay $5 and you get to see 2 quality games like that?
Right. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. That's,
we're the cheapest in the area. Everybody else is up to 7. And then on that Saturday, they'd go to 10.
Yeah.
And we're just still at 5, 3, and 3.
yeah. It's great.
I don't know how long we can stay that way, but it is nice.
It is awfully nice. And you know, I watched that game Friday night, and I you know, you look around and you see all those fans there, and you see people that, you know, they've jumped on board and they're getting to watch some quality basketball. And you know, the sad part is after this weekend, you've only got 2 home games.
Right. That's true.
And
8 games total.
6
on the road.
Yep.
2 outside of the conference. The other ones are in.
Yep. So that's going to be interesting. You've got some games coming up that are.
I'm glad to play some more Big 12 teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've got Notre Dame at the Normal West Shootout, and I think that'll be a big game.
Oh yeah.
And we got the Emmanuel Shootout, and we'll go against Peoria Central.
Yeah.
Who's playing really good basketball right now.
They've got some really good shooters,
Yeah.
and that's another up-tempo, well-coached, and
No doubt.
You know, Notre Dame's going to pose another kind of problem for you because they're going to come in with 6'9", 6'9".
And both of them in our subsection.
Yeah.
So that, you know, it's great to get those teams so you can get a better seeding if you can beat them.
Sure. And you know, like I said, Notre Dame with the 2 big 6'9" guys,
Right.
and you know, they've knocked off some good teams too.
Yeah, they have.
You turn around Saturday morning, you know, what was it, 10 hours later or 11 hours later?
It wasn't much rest.
No, you turn around and you play a really good Manual team, and Manual comes over. There's some pride there.
Yes.
Peoria versus Metamora. There's some pride, so you know you're going to get their best effort.
Right.
And we've
We've only beat them twice ever.
yeah.
You know, we beat them back in a sectional, I believe, way back in the day.
Yeah,
back when Brockhouse was around.
I think that was at the field house, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
And we beat them last year. Other than that, we've never beat
We
them.
never beat, and they've never come out to Metamora for a regular season game.
I don't think they have.
No, I think that's the first trip to Metamora. There's underclass had, and the other thing too is when you look at this group of seniors when they were freshmen, minus Ethan Kaiser, they beat our freshmen 3 times that year.
Right.
And so there was a little bit of revenge. Now they've lost a couple players along the way.
Right.
Kaiser joined that group because he was up playing with you his
Right.
freshman year. So there was a little bit of revenge on our kids, in our kids' view. They
know that's a great program, and they want to make their mark on that program, and they sure did.
They did, and I thought they came out and played lights out defense.
Moved the ball well,
Yeah.
defended pretty effectively,
Yeah.
and you know, all we know is this: we told them, look, they're going to get up early in the morning. They've played in the Pontiac tournament plenty early. They know what it's like to play. A lot of teams, you want to get them in the morning because they come in late, but Manual was ready to go.
Oh.
You know, they beat us to the gym.
Yeah.
And they were ready.
They were ready. And their new coach this year, Melvin Jordan.
Yes.
I was impressed with him.
He's done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
He's got them playing hard-nosed, hardcore Manual basketball.
Yes.
You know, high tempo, plenty of energy, and they're just all over you all the time.
And aside from the Metamora players, I think my favorite player on any of the teams we played is Lewis Bailey, their big 6'7" big boy
Right.
that didn't look like he was going to be much, but man, was he
He's got a
effective.
tremendous soft touch.
Oh man,
Very, very good.
yeah,
He averaged, you know, in the tournament, other than our game, over 20 points.
yeah.
And but I thought we did an excellent job on him.
I thought you guys did a great job on him. There were 2 instances.
He
where
wasn't a factor.
He got the ball in that low block, and Tyler Mason came around and stole it from him twice.
Right.
And
We tipped it away from him twice also.
and
It
then
kind of shook his confidence.
shook his confidence, and then he had a hard time kind of keeping up with, and then that kind of took a little bit away from their offense because it seemed like everything kind of went through him. They'd get it to him either at the free throw line or down in that low block, and then
He was the difference in the game against South County on Friday night.
most definitely
24 points inside.
Yeah.
They didn't have an answer for him. Couldn't
Yeah.
stop him.
right. He was outstanding, and by stopping him, he kind of put a little chink in their offense a little
Yes.
bit. But you came away with a fairly, decisive win there.
We'll take an 18-point win against Manu.
58-40.
Yeah.
That was a pretty significant win for you guys. But they forced you guys to play really hard.
It didn't get decided until the second half.
Yeah.
They put it on us there for a while, and I thought our kids did a good job of handling pressure and controlling the tempo was in all three games. The first thing I had on the board on keys to success was control the tempo, and when it got too fast, we need to slow it down. When it got too slow, we need to pick it up, and I thought we did a good job of doing both those things.
The thing that I was very impressed with is both of your guards in both of those games to that point. When they'd get the inbound pass, they'd dribble down the court, and they'd just keep going until somebody stopped them. How many times did Drew Tucker go right down the lane for an easy layup, coast to coast? And, what's the first rule of basketball? Stop the ball.
Right. And
I don't think they were ever really, truly stopped.
One of the last things I said tonight at practice was I said, I don't think our team and our guys on the team really understand how well Drew Tucker handles pressure on bringing that basketball up. I mean, you talk about a week he had on Monday against what I think is probably the best defensive team in the state, in Springfield St. Hart Griffin. And then you put him out there bringing the ball up against three teams that put pressure on you, 3 games in 22 hours. And sometimes he doesn't get the accolades because he doesn't make the 24 points or he doesn't, make the 10 threes. But he's set everybody else up. He's taking care of the basketball. He's got it from one end of the court down to the other under duress the whole time. His body has been beaten and battered. And I'm going, to me, that goes a long ways. It was kind of like, and I told him, if you remember last year, we weren't as good when Schroeder was out. Early in the season, we struggled a little bit. Even latter part of the season, foul trouble last game, we weren't as good. It's the same thing with Drew Tucker. He's a beast.
Has this team turned into Drew Tucker's team?
Well, I'd say he's part of it, but I think it's by committee also. I think Schroeder was his team's last year, but it started out this year. It was Mason and Tucker, and I thought the boxes that I wanted Ethan Kaiser to check to be more of a complete player and leader didn't get checked, and now you look up and he's checked all those boxes. So after the practice tonight, he was named our third captain of the team this year because he's earned it. And, I told him when he was a freshman, I'm not going to give you anything. Anything you're going to get out of my program other than a handshake to start the year is going to be earned, and he sure earned that. So, and when he earns that and is more of a complete player, how much better are we as a team? It's the same thing with Tucker. It's the same thing with Swanson. And we had that conversation with Zobrist again tonight. That's such a weapon, and they all are. And when they all are clicking on all cylinders, it's pretty good. We're going to be hard to stop. But right now, somebody said, "Oh yeah, you are. You're as good as I've seen you." Yeah, but we're still not where we need to be, and that's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
I agree with you. And there are times when you watch them, they are as good as can be expected.
We're decent.
We're pretty good. Yeah, when you mentioned Drew Tucker, there are times, if you see a melee, you see guys diving for the ball. Guaranteed Drew Tucker's going to be in that scrum somewhere.
If there's blood on the floor, it's either his or the guy he ran into.
Yes. But nobody's going to out-grit him.
No.
What did you say the other night? He's just all gristle?
He's probably 95%, man.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
He's a lot of fun to coach.
Yeah, I would imagine. I imagine all those kids are a lot of fun.
He takes any suggestions you might give him. That's what I tell him. Here's a suggestion. Might try this. But they are very all coachable, and he's the leader bringing that ball up.
Yes.
And Mason's got to do more bringing it up. And, Swanson's got to do more to bring it up. Because there'll be those nights that, the matchups are such that, we need to switch it up a little bit. And I thought our bigs did a good job of coming in the backcourt and lighting some folks up with some screens to get some of that pressure off. And, of course, Tucker and Swanson and especially Mason have done a pretty good job of using those screens.
They've done a really nice job. Yeah. And that's a little bit tricky because sometimes, when they set those screens, they get fouls because that's a point of emphasis. And that's really the guy that's handling the ball.
We've done a good job of just staying there.
We've done a very good job.
Think about what it's opened up. We usually go with the best matchup So the guy that doesn't help the much at all is the guy who we have come up and set the screen.
Yeah.
And so now we've already got an advantage, and we've done a pretty good job of taking that basketball all the way to the basket.
Yes.
And finishing after those screens in the backcourt.
That's been outstanding. But then again, you had a few hours off, and
we went shopping, washed the car, did some laundry.
Yeah. And then you played South County at 5 o'clock.
Right.
Yeah, another nice crowd.
Who had played Friday.
And then didn't play until
And
7.
so, and their coach Mike, I go, hey, Mikey, what'd you do in the morning? He goes, well, we had a hard night. So we slept till about noon. And then we got us something to eat. And I'm going, well, we'd been up since, about 7 o'clock. Had a game, played Manual, ran around and tried to catch Manual for an hour and a half at 10:30.
That was fun.
And so I was proud of our guys that didn't use that as an excuse, because our legs went about second quarter. About midway through the second quarter, our legs were shot.
I noticed it. I really noticed it. I'm sure you noticed it long before, but I noticed it early in the third quarter.
Yeah.
That they
What happened way before that?
Yeah, and their legs are going to go before you really see it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I thought that was the guttiest performance I've seen in a long, long time. And I think I told you that was played like, they had hearts of champions there.
That's why it was fun to watch them when I knew their body was spent. We got guys sucking down pickle juice on the sidelines because they're cramping, and it worked. But I tell you what, our kids showed a lot of mental toughness right there.
The one was I saw Ethan Kaiser go from the low block, come down all the way down the court, and block went off the bank board. And then he came back and he knocked the ball away from South County in maybe the fourth quarter, chased it down, had to leap over the scores table. Daryl Galandi, he jumped out of his seat, landed in Baranowski's lap.
I think they peed just a little bit.
Just a little bit. And we gave Daryl a lot of grief at the grill after the game about not standing up. And we even asked Ethan if he was scared running over there and seeing Daryl Galandri. He goes, not a bit. But he jumped over the scores table.
Yeah, he did.
And
great effort.
And I mean, these guys are dead tired.
Right.
And you were getting that kind of an effort.
Yeah. Well, like we always say, when you walk in the gym and you watch one of my teams play, you're not supposed to know if we're up 50, down 50, or tied.
Yeah.
And that's the way they play.
Yeah.
Some people say it's old school. I just say it's the right way to do it.
It was. And I was, at that point, I thought, man, these kids are really, they're giving it everything they got. I mean, and you could just see those kids. There was one time I think Mason went baseline. It was in the second half. He went baseline and kind of got hit pretty good and just went down to the ground.
Right. He was down a minute.
He was down a little bit. It was a standing
He took
eight
a rester.
Yes. And, I thought, you know what? And then you took a timeout, which I thought was brilliant.
I waited until they got all the way down. I gave them as much time as I could and called a timeout.
Yeah.
And I told him that. I said, hey, take your time, and we're going to get a little extra rest as soon as you get ready.
Yeah.
And those little things do help.
And he went up and he hit the free throw.
Yeah.
Everybody else was got a little breather too. But when you know that you're not at 100% and you're playing a good team, that was a good team. That was a really good team.
When they get their other two players back that are hurt, their best player, they got a little snot-nosed sophomore who's pretty good. It's his own son, so I know he's good. They're going to make a run where they're at.
Yeah.
And they haven't been in full capacity for a while. And still no excuses. Mikey didn't say anything to anybody. And, that meant a lot, too. Show that, he's got some grit about himself, too. He took his lumps. When you come all the way out here and lose two games,
yeah.
And spend that kind of money, that's pretty tough. But they'll be better because of it.
And I'm sure that the Manual game meant a little something to him.
Oh, there's no doubt.
But
now, he's coming back in 2 years.
To our tournament?
To our tournament.
Oh, nice.
And I talked to Bobo, and I said, because he was standing right there, I go, Mikey's coming back. I'd love to see him get his old team, Richwoods, back in it. And he finally said yes. So Richwoods and South County will be in it in 2 years.
Oh, that'll be sweet.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'll be really nice. You came away with the 2-point win, 61-59.
Beat him as bad as we could.
As bad as you could. And when you play somebody, like I was saying, you play somebody and you know that your kids are, their gas gauges are on E.
Right.
And you still come away with the win. That had to make it, you had to be a little extra proud of those kids.
Oh, there's no doubt. You really get to see what their character is when, you're that exhausted. Mm-hmm. And we had some really good help off the bench. We had some good minutes. And, it was a total team effort. And like I told our guys, even our bench has got to be better than their bench. Everybody's got a job. No job is too big or too small for anybody to do, including myself. Water on the floor, go out and clean it up. That's what I do, or clean up the bench, whatever it might be. And with that kind of mentality and thinking, everybody doesn't mind doing whatever to make it happen for us to be successful, which is pretty cool.
Coach, why don't we take a break now, and when we come back, we'll have the Germantown Grill players of the game for this past weekend.
Sounds good.
Central Illinois, you asked for it and we listened. Germantown Grill is growing, adding more dining space and a private gaming area featuring games powered by Gold Rush, the gold standard in video gaming. The game's on at Germantown Grill off Route 116.
Hello. He came over to our table. We were giving him... Oh. Welcome back to the Danny Grieves Show. Coach, why don't we talk first about the game Friday night against Chicago Bogan. Mm-hmm. And Ethan Kaiser was on fire.
He did okay, didn't he?
32 points. Wow. And what did he shoot? What did he miss? Maybe 3-4 shots the whole game?
We had him for 10 for 13 from the three.
That was amazing.
That's pretty good.
That's really good.
Missed his first shot, hit the rim, went over the corner of the bankboard, if you remember right.
Yep.
And he didn't miss much after that.
No, just one more shot then, or two more.
Yeah.
2 more shots. And only taking 13 shots, you get 32 points.
But he didn't take a bad shot.
Didn't take a single bad shot.
He hasn't, in my opinion, he hasn't really taken a bad shot since we got back from Christmas.
Right.
From our trip from Mississippi.
Yeah.
And there's times he's given up some shots I'd kind of like him to take. But I tell you what, he is playing his best basketball right now. His most complete games have been coming game after game here lately, and it's really helped us.
In your biggest games, he's had his biggest games, yes. I thought.
And not even by points. The other night he had 9 points. I forget which game it was, but his complete game was amazing. And so when he can score 32 and come back and not score much,
I was just going to talk about that.
And it doesn't matter. It's kind of like when, Swanson, who was our leading scorer at one point in time, and then next game only got 2 shots, and that was against Morton, as a matter of fact. Didn't say a word. And that's the camaraderie, that's the kind of cohesiveness and chemistry you got to have to be successful.
Well, the thing that impressed me, touching on that a little bit, was the next morning against Manual. I think he had 2 points at halftime, and he only took 2 shots in the first half.
Right.
But I think he had 3 or 4 blocks. I think he picked up a charge and had 5 or 6 rebounds, something crazy like that.
But they were really trying to stop him from scoring, and every time he touched it, there was somebody in his grill.
Yep.
But he just kept playing a complete game and did a nice job of moving the ball and didn't take any bad shots.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the Saturday morning game against Manual. And player of the game for that game was Tyson Swanson. Tyson Swanson was, it looked like he picked up right where Ethan Kaiser left off. He was on fire in that first half. And
well, I told him he was going to be an X factor in that game because the way they were going to have to guard everybody else, the guy they were going to put on him couldn't hold him. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, he just took like duck to a water, man. He just, and I knew he would. It's kind of cool to motivate him and see him go out and do what he does because he makes it look so easy.
Coach, the thing that I've been so amazed with about him over the years, and he's got that patented little shot where he gets it down low, and he just, I don't know how he gets that separation, but he does. And no guys that are 6'5", 6'6".
As soon as you make the contact, he feeds off. He's really good at it.
How does he get
It reminds me of, when I was growing up and I'd go to the YMCA on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. They've got a bunch of old grizzly-haired men playing, and that's an old man shot.
It
You know?
is.
And so he must have an old soul because he makes that thing look easy.
He does, and
Yeah, he does.
And he
On the inbounds, he got it and just stepped back and shot it. I went, how easy is that? It makes a coach like us look like genius because it's so simplistic.
It is, and he's got it down so pat that, and those defenders are just like, wow, that's good defense,
Right?
And they can't stop. He's been doing it now for 3 years.
He has.
And then he hits that three, and how many rebounds does he get? He plays great defense. He quietly has big games.
Yeah, he had
for you.
3 threes that game were big.
That were right in a row, I believe.
Yes.
And that was in the second quarter, I believe it was.
And they're thinking, okay, well, Kaiser's not shooting, we're okay, and then he can knock those down, and and then you're talking about Mason hasn't done much with it too, and he's another guy that just almost a 40% from three. So you got to give us something. And when you shut down Kaiser and he don't mind passing the ball, or he doesn't take bad shots, what are you going to do?
Got to pick your poison.
Yes, you do.
So that was the game against Manual that Swanson was player of the game. And when it came time for the South County game, Ryan Vogel did the game with me, and we were trying to decide.
One of my favorites. He's a great guy.
He is. He's a great guy. We were trying to decide who would be the player of the game for that final game, and we were just like, it's got to be the team.
Right.
We got to. We decided to make it a team player of the game. It was a team effort.
It took everybody.
And it took everybody.
Bench personnel. I mean, you talk about it was totally a team effort. You're exactly right.
And to just single one person out, I thought might be a little bit of an injustice.
Right.
So we went with the team, and
great choice.
Those kids, they deserve. And we talked about it during the break. Normally you go to the grill, and here comes all the players at some point. Here comes all the parents. There were no players. They were a little tired.
They were wore out. They really were.
I think Ethan Kaiser showed up, got something to eat, took it home. That was it.
Grueling week.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
you talk about, did we get out of that week what we wanted? Yep, we got a chance to measure up Springfield Sacred Heart Griffin. We got a chance to come in at our own place and have a heck of a tournament and see what we're made out of. Are we going to be gritty enough to go 3 games in 22 hours? And they answered the bell again. I mean, they're doing a great job of knocking down all the barriers that I put up for them to see if they're any good.
yeah.
And we still need to stay hungry and humble because we still have so many things we're not good enough at. And as far as team stuff and individual stuff, and so there's still plenty of growth to be had. So
Sure.
we're using those last 8 games to try to get there because we're not there yet.
You have another tough week coming up.
Yeah, we do.
Got a game tomorrow night against Morton
3 road games.
at Morton.
Who right now is the second leading team in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
They're only 2 games back.
You only beat them by
they only
6.
beat them by 650, and that outcome didn't happen until right there at the end.
Right. They were with you that entire game. They are a good matchup for you guys.
Yeah.
But
They were the first team that played a pretty good zone against us.
Right.
And we didn't have much time to prepare for that. We're prepared for them now. Whether we played any better is proof's in the pudding, but we'll be better prepared for it than we were last time.
And it'll be interesting to see how the kids' bodies have responded since Saturday and Friday night and Saturday.
Right.
They've had 2 days, 2.5 days to recover.
Right.
They're young. I'm sure they'll come back.
They're young. They'll be fine.
But we always do seem to play pretty well in Morton.
Although I can remember a fourth quarter up 15 and losing.
Yes.
That was not a fun night. So there's always been crazy things that could happen over there.
It's always been crazy. But even in that game, you guys played pretty well because I believe they were second in the conference at the time.
That's like saying you drove really well right up to the crash. Then you hit that bridge and it wasn't very good. So.
Yeah, at that point it kind of went south. But but yeah, I just have a good feeling when we go over to Morton now that our kids are prepared, and it doesn't matter where we play.
Well, I think we beat them the last 6 times or whatever it might be. But, thing is, we used to go over there or play them when I first got here. When I first got here, we hadn't beat them in 6 years.
Yeah.
And now, it's not one of those things, well, it's an upset or we don't know if we can beat them. We expect to beat them. And that's the difference in the mentalities these days, and that's a good thing to have. And it's confidence, but it's not being overconfident. It's just, if we take care of our business, score take care of itself.
Then you go Friday night over to Canton, one of the best gyms in the state, Alice Ingersoll. And, that alone poses problems.
Right.
And then you go over to Normal West on Saturday and play.
Then we're at Manual.
That's right.
The next morning. So we go long road trip to Canton, and then early game at the
at 12.
Manual shootout versus Central.
Yes. That's right. That's right. I was getting my weekends mixed up there. But, so you're going to have another grueling week of basketball.
Right.
But I'm sure kids love it.
Oh, they do. But we got to make sure we stay healthy. We got to make sure that, our grades are getting taken care of because, it takes a tremendous amount of time and effort and energy that goes into what we're doing.
Sure.
And you put a schedule together like we have, and, we haven't lost until mid-November, against the schedule I'll put against anybody's.
For sure.
It's been grueling. And, but, if you're going to be the best, you got to play the best, and you've got to be tough. And we've tried to do both those things.
Coach, it's getting down to crunch time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
But it's been one whale of a ride so far.
It has.
And it's been, I always say it's a two-edged sword no matter what sport you're in, and you're having success, and you just can't wait for the next game. Pretty soon you've wished that whole season away, and
that's why we really tried to stay in the moment.
Yeah.
We don't look ahead, we plan ahead. We don't have Friday or Saturday's game on our mind right now. It's nothing but Tuesday's game, but and tonight was just Monday's practice. And so we try to slow it down that way. And our kids have really reacted to that and kind of always stay in the moment, which is cool.
Have they recovered from the grueling past weekend?
Sure.
Well,
no
Coach,
excuses.
And that's
I mean, think about it. Springfield, Sacred Heart, Griffin, they've won 53 of the last 54 games. Now they lost 2 games in a week.
Yeah.
And had to fly all the way to Miami to do that. Yeah. So they're probably pretty tired too, but I guarantee you they come back today with a Tuesday game, I bet they had a really good practice. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between good teams and great teams.
Sure.
Our practice was good today, but it wasn't great. And we told them afterwards, look, you can't do that. You can't have an off day. We can't just stay the same. You're doing 1 or 2 things every day. You're getting either better or worse. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we got better today, all right? But we were in the gym, so we'll see what happens. Tomorrow is going to be a good challenge for us, but I think our kids are ready.
Well, Coach, we'll let you get going here. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
And keep up the winning, and we'll see you Tuesday night.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks for tuning in, and join us next week for another edition of The Danny Grieves Show.